Hello everybody, welcome back to Greenocity, and since you're seeing the background footage of the game, you may already know that Five Nights at Freddy's 3, or may at least think that it won the poll. Well, I've got some news for you. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 didn't win the poll. It actually got into a tie with Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and I asked, and I received. So we're doing both Five Nights at Freddy's 3 and Sonic 3 Knuckles this month. Welcome to the spooky month known as October. And it feels right to kind of start this month with something more scary and horror related. Now, by means, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is probably the second or third least scary game in the whole series. I mean, like, come on. FNAF 2 exists, FNAF 1 exists. Pizza Sim exists, FNAF 4 exists. But I mean, it's kind of, it's gotten me a couple of times while playing, but the jump scares just do no justice. Anyways, we're going to be talking about a couple of things in this video, like the story, the gameplay, yeah, that's about it. The story and the gameplay. However, I do have one other thing for you guys. So, besides the story and the gameplay, I have come up with a new theory that might help us explain some of the most key points of this series, like the spring locking, the MCI, the DCI, and the safe room, what was it called? Oh, the sealing of the safe room, and when that takes place. This theory helps connect it all, but we'll be getting into that in a later part of the video, considering that, well, we're going to talk about the main story and the gameplay. Okay, let us begin. When the game takes place. So, a lot of people think that FNAF 1 takes place in 1989 or something like that, and some people think that FNAF 3 takes place when the game came out in 2015, but we know this is false. Why do we know that this is false? Well, some people are just lazy and don't read the description of the game on Steam. If you're not lazy like me and do your research, then you'll read that one of the first lines in the description that Five Nights at Freddy's 3 takes place 30 years after the tragedies of Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and 2. But mainly Five Nights at Freddy's 1. So, if you think that Five Nights at Freddy's 3 takes place in 2015, then you have to logically think that Five Nights at Freddy's 1 takes place in 1985, which would disrupt FNAF 2's place in the timeline and the other events that take place. So, at most, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 takes place in 2023, and at least, probably 2020. Because, listen, FNAF 1 has to take place in the early 90s. I'm just saying 1993 because, well, Scott already said we solved the game number 1, like I said in the FNAF 1 video. So, it just has to be early 90s. But I like 1993 specifically. So FNAF 3 would logically have to be 2023. So, let's talk about the story. So, the main story of the game is basically that we're learning about, well, spring locks and the events that are happening and unfolding. Within FNAF 1 and 2, the storytelling's a little bit different because it's more present-oriented. Like, I mean, FNAF 1 does have bits of the past, but FNAF 1 is basically present-oriented, and FNAF 2 is mainly present-oriented with bits of the future, like in the dream sections. However, FNAF 3's majority of storytelling is within the past. I mean, at the beginning and the end of the game, there are storytellings within the present and with the phone dude. But the other glimpses of the story, besides the mini games, with an exception of Follow Me, is about, well, the present. or, well, sorry, Follow Me is the past, and that's the main story. But let's just get into it. So, the story is for Five Nights at Freddy's 3, well, the story of the Night Guard, which we don't know. This is actually the first time we don't know who we're playing as. Some people think it's Mike, some people think it's Fritz, others think it's Hudson from Look at What We Found from Fazbear Frights. Some think it's Henry, which I gotta say, it's probably not Henry, considering that Henry wasn't even a thought until, like, the Silver Eyes, which was being developed during the time of FNAF 4, and didn't cross over until Pizza Sim. Mike was probably starting to be a thought in FNAF 3, since FNAF 4 was next. And it couldn't be Hudson, because What We Found didn't come into the series. And, I mean, it could be Hudson, but it couldn't be Hudson at the same time, because What We Found came way later down the line. So, really, it could either be Fritz, or it could be Michael, or it could just be some random guy of the week. And we know that we've already been working there for a couple of days based off of Phone Dude's line. Glad you... Sorry. Based on Phone Dude's Night 1 line, glad you came back for another night. That implies that we've already started working there the week before. Sorry for the irony. I've been saying it a lot within the Five Nights at Freddy's videos. Like FNAF 1, I believe I mentioned it once. I know FNAF 2, I mentioned it like a couple of times. And this is the first time I've said that. But trust me, it's going to get worse with the week before. It's going to be said a lot more. Anyways, the main story is, well, we've already been working at Fazbear Frights, and it's basically just a normal shift until night 2 hits, when Phone Dude says they found one, a real one, and it's Springtrap. We'll get to his origins in a second, but they found one, and, well, they thought they just found one, because Springtrap has the Phantoms attached to him. So, basically, they just got, like, 7 whole animatronics, but the Phantoms aren't animatronics. They're not hallucinations either, okay? They're, like, literally ghosts. In simple terms, they're just ghosts. Let's see. Yeah, so the basic story is that you work a normal shift as the Night Guard until night 2 of Five Nights at Freddy's 3 takes place, when they find Springtrap and unleash him into Fazbear Frights. And then the week just goes as normal, depending if you get the good or bad ending of FNAF 3. And night 6, they burn Fazbear Frights to the ground. And it may or may not have been faulty wiring or tampering. So that is the present story of FNAF 3. But like Sonic 06, it delves into the past too. So, what is the past? The past story is basically what happens between FNAF 1 and 3. And since this game is before Sister Location, we don't know about... Or, well, we do know, but we just don't know when this is in the timeline. We could have just said, like, when it was just a trilogy, that, oh, Follow Me takes place somewhere in between FNAF 1 and FNAF 3, but now with Sister Location being somewhere after FNAF 1, we don't know, because it could be, oh, Sister Location, Follow Me, or Follow Me, Sister Location. We just don't know right now, and we'll get into that in a different video, because it's a FNAF 3 video. So Follow Me. What is Follow Me? Well, it's a minigame about disassembling animatronics. You play as Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Cassidy, the Vengeful Spirit, aka Golden Freddy. And your purpose is to follow Shadow Freddy. The text will appear, say follow me, and you follow him. I mean, you don't have to follow him. You can explore, which is kind of cool. I wish that for Foxy that we kind of got to start in the Cove, because with Freddy and Co, we got to start on stage. It'd be cool to see inside a Pirates Cove. Anyways, nights 1, you play as Freddy, you get dismembered when you try to go into the safe room. Night 2, you play as Bonnie, get dismembered when you try to go into the safe room. Night 3 is Chica, and the same thing happens, and so on with Foxy. However, with night 5, it's completely different. You go in as Cassidy, and since Golden Freddy is in a suit, if you would watch my second video, then you would know what I'm talking about. He goes right into the safe room, which gets Afton spring-locked. That's the past story, revealing what happened, that Afton got spring-locked and the safe room got sealed. So we know what happened. My question is, how are the FNAF 2 animatronics here? We know that Balloon Boy, Mangle, and Puppet are here, even though they were never part of the dismembering of the FNAF 1 cast. Heck, it's just dismembering the FNAF 1 cast. And what's kind of funny, something that I noticed, is that literally the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 cast is literally just the FNAF 4 cast. Am I wrong? You literally have Phantom Freddy, Spring Bonnie, Phantom Chica, Phantom Foxy, you have Phantom Mangle, and you have Phantom Puppet, and you have Phantom Balloon Boy. Notice that the cast for FNAF 4, and in the main game, you have Nightmare Freddy, Nightmare Foxy, Nightmare Chica. Nightmare Bonnie is the only one from FNAF 4 to not have a correspondent to FNAF 3, even though FNAF 3 should have had a Phantom Bonnie. Why isn't Phantom Bonnie here in FNAF 3? I feel like Scott just decided, well, there can't be two Bonnies. The game would be too scary. When, lore-wise, it just doesn't make sense for Phantom Bonnie to not be here. Anyways, besides the core 4, once you get into the Halloween DLC, who makes a return? Mangle, Puppet, and Balloon Boy. Nightmare Yon, Nightmare Mangle, and Nightmare Balloon Boy. However, people tend to forget that Nightmare Yon and Nightmare Mangle aren't canon, while Nightmare Balloon Boy is canon. He's the only one out of the Halloween DLC to be canon, implying that the victim has seen him before, which is disturbing because we all know how much Balloon Boy sucks. Anyways, since we know the story now of FNAF 3, let's get into the gameplay, because we'll get into the theory in a second. So basically, the whole gameplay loop kind of took the negatives of FNAF 1 and 2. Yeah, it did. So Springtrap, how he works, is unlike anything that has come before FNAF 1 and 2. Springtrap can basically free roam. He can go anywhere in the building. Yeah, Freddy and Co. from FNAF 1 couldn't do that. Toy Freddy and Co. couldn't do that in FNAF 2. The closest that you ever got to anything can go anywhere was Phone Guy dropping that the puppet can go anywhere, but the puppet just doesn't really go anywhere in the game. It kind of just goes the same route that all the toys take. However, Springtrap is coded differently. He can go anywhere from the buildings. In fact, the way that he works is basically just a modification of how the AI values work in FNAF 1 and 2, but with an extra number where I believe 1 means don't go, 2 means forward, 3 means back, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. And if I'm not, then tell me in the comments. But it adds an extra number to tell you where it goes, where he goes, and then he can also go in all the vents too. The Phantoms can't kill you. I think that it's kind of funny that we went from multiple threats to just one, and he's one of the most annoying threats in the game. He kind of is. Nights 2 through 4, he isn't really that much of a pain, and then in night 5, he's like, he's not that bad, but he's kind of a pain. And then you get to night 6, he is somewhat of a pain, it just jumps. And then Aggressive Nightmare, it jumps again. And me and Aggressive Nightmare kind of have a rough history. When I first played FNAF 3 on Nintendo Switch, I mean, that wasn't the first time I played the game, it was just the first time I played it on Switch. I beat the whole game, got to Aggressive Nightmare, and on my first try, I got to 5 a.m. and got triple jump scared. I almost beat the whole game, but because I got triple jump scared and got super unlucky, I died. And then every other attempt, I didn't get that far. With an exception of the 3 attempts that I did for Five Nights at Freddy's 3 for this run, I got to 4 a.m. And yeah, I didn't beat Nightmare mode for Aggressive Nightmare for this video. However, unlike FNAF 2, I will actually go back and try to beat it, considering that I almost did like 3 times, and it's more than I could ever have done for Golden Freddy mode in FNAF 2. Anyways, the phantoms work like this. Basically, avoid cams 8, 7, 4, and 10, and 9, which is basically most of the maps. I'm going to tell you which phantom spawn. So, Balloon Boy has, I actually don't know the percentages, but Balloon Boy has a chance to spawn in camera 10, camera 9, camera 7, and there's one more camera. And when he does, you'll have a moment to either press map toggle, click onto another camera, or flip down the monitor. Or else he will jump scare you and give you an audio error. The next animatronic that I'm going to talk about is Phantom Chica. Phantom Chica can only spawn at cam 7, and she has a chance to. Basically, you have a very slim amount of time to click on another camera or bring the camera down. And if you don't, you'll get jump scared and you'll be given a ventilation error. Then is Phantom Mangle. Phantom Mangle actually won't jump scare you, but if you go into camera 4, there's a chance for her to appear, and if you don't click away fast enough or don't click on another camera map toggle, then she will appear outside your office and give you an audio error. The last camera animatronic, or last, I don't know how to say it. Last camera animatronic is it's Phantom Puppet. Phantom Puppet almost has a guaranteed spawn in night 5 and night 6, but she becomes active in night 4, and she won't jump scare you, but if you stay camera 8 for a little too long, she will pull down your cameras and force you into a long staring contest. Basically for like 15 seconds, and you'll probably die. So yeah, the puppet's the most annoying in this game. And then you have the office animatronics. So Phantom Foxy works like this. You have to open the cameras, and he has a chance to spawn. So the way that Scott probably intended Phantom Foxy to work is he is an automatic jump scare. However, there's this thing in the game where he will despawn if you open the camera. So it's not a bug, it's a mechanic. It's the way the game is supposed to work. So just glide over carefully when you go up to your maintenance panels. If you see him, turn back and open your cameras. I mean, you don't even have to be super slow. You just don't need to be rushing over there. If your cursor's already on him, or you see like almost his whole render, then you probably should turn back. Then we get to the last Phantom animatronic, which is Phantom Freddy. We all know how this works. Phantom Freddy has a % chance to spawn each night, with on later nights a guaranteed spot to spawn around 4 a.m. The way that he works is basically he'll walk across your hallway, and he can go early actually. So he has 2 spots where he can go. So if you're watching him for too long, he'll go under and then you'll jump scare him. Or he'll jump scare you. However, if you just pulled something down and then pulled something back up, he will pull down the camera and jump scare you. So the way that this works is that you have to either be in your camera or your maintenance panel. It's like basically a second ventilation. Basically, because ventilation can go down, and probably will go down, with how long you're not doing anything and idling in the office. Phantom Freddy works the same way, except you just have to open the cameras and maintenance panel for Phantom Freddy. Okay, so audio uses. Let's get on to the more technical stuff. Audio uses as a different percentage throughout the night. So, on night 1, you have unlimited audio uses, camera uses, and ventilation uses. So, basically, you don't have to worry about anything because Springtrap's not even in the building. It's just to get a feel out for the cameras in the office. Night 2, you have, I think it's 10 uses for audio. Night 3, you have, in night 3, you have 4 uses of audio. Night 4, you have 3 uses of audio. Night 5, 6, and Aggressive Nightmare are all 2. Now, I don't know the camera stuff, like how long you have each night, but I know that it gets less and less each time. And the only thing I know about ventilation is that there's an error that's stopping ventilation from happening in Night 6 and Aggressive Nightmare. And if you want to know what the error is, it's basically that, well, every nights with an exception of 1 and Nightmare basically have the equivalent of the AI. So, Night 1 has 0 because Springtrap ain't even in the building. However, Night 2 has all the animatronics set to 2. Night 3 has all the, some of the animatronics set to 2 because they're not all here yet. Night 3 has some of the animatronics set to 3. Night 4 has all the animatronics set to 4. Night 5 has all the animatronics set to 5. But Night 6 doesn't have all the animatronics set to 6. Instead, it goes 2 points higher and goes 7. The ventilation has it if all AI equals 6. And since it never reaches 6 and goes to 7, the ventilation can never go off while you're being idle. Or, well, not idle, because it can still go off while being idle. But it can never go off after a random period in time. So basically, Night 6 is a little more easier than Night 5, technically, by some standards. So as long as you're just in the cameras or in the maintenance panel and it thinks you're doing something, you're fine. Just as long as you're not idling. Anyways, you have 2 ways, or 2 monitors. You have your main camera monitor where you can get a feel for how this game works now. And I feel like one of the big upsides to this game, besides the green tone, because green is my favorite color if you can't tell, but besides the green tones in the game, they finally made the cameras useful in this game. So basically, in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and 2, there was this huge problem where not every camera is useful. Basically, in FNAF 1, there were only 2 cameras that were ever useful, which were Show Stage on nights where Freddy became active, and Cam 4B for Night 7, for the 420 mode. And FNAF 2, the only important camera was Cam 11, the prize counter. However, since Springtrap can just wander anywhere now and not a set path, since he's the only one that can kill you, they had to make a mechanic that was useful, introducing the audio lure. So the audio lure basically is if you don't want Springtrap to go somewhere, but he does, you can lure him back by pressing the audio button. And he has a chance to come back, but he also has a chance to ignore that. Now, the audio lure doesn't work in the vents, but that's why they introduced the second mechanic, the seal vent mechanic. Honestly, here's the con side. There's 2 vents right next to your office, so it's basically just FNAF 3, but he has to go out of a vent and into the door. I just wish that there was only 1 vent coming to your office, so that you have some time to prepare, because dang it, did some times and some takes of Night 6 and Aggressive Nightmare did I die because I sealed cam 14 and he went into cam 11. Or, yeah, cam 11. Or I sealed cam 11 and he went into cam 14, and he usually doesn't go into cam 14. Either that, or he'll just walk down to cam 5. Or not cam 5. He'll walk down to cam 7, go through cam 7's vent, and end up right outside my door. Or there was this rare thing that happened where he walked all the way down and decided not to go into the vents until cam 2, and I died. Luckily, I did beat nights 1 through 6 after some trial with night 6. Anyways, besides the map toggle, map toggle. So basically, the vents are on separate cameras this time, unlike FNAF 2. So FNAF 3, you have to press map toggle and you have to double click to seal vents. Anyways, for the other monitor, the maintenance panel, this is how it works. You just pull it up, and if your audio, camera, or ventilation's going off, then you press the corresponding buttons. Or if more than one's going off, you can press reboot all. But sometimes it's better just do it individually if they're going off. If they're all going off, or most of them are going off. You can also reboot all when they're not going off, or just reboot one of them when they're not going off, and it should reset it, basically. And let's get to the other story minigames. So basically, there are minigames besides Follow Me, and how you get these minigames. So basically, night 1, you have to double click a Balloon Boy poster, and you don't even have to get all the balloons. It's the way that it works is just use S and D to walk and W to jump, which is so weird to use. I mean, I get using WASD, even though I prefer arrow buttons, but making W jump instead of like space or something, heck, or even S, it's just, maybe he didn't use S because it's so close to A and D. Anyways, so with Balloon Boys, BB Air Adventure, you basically don't have to collect the balloons. All you gotta do is go into the wall on the left, go down, and collect the balloon, the multicolored one. That should be it. And then night 2, it's the same thing with the exception of Mangle. And this is what you have to do. For Mangle, you have to collect her parts, avoid the kid in the green shirt. And then, instead of taking the exits... Oh yeah, that's right. Never take the exits. I mean, this should have been known, but if you're a new fan, never take the exits. Always go into the wall. In this case, it's above the exit. You would have to jump again, I believe. And then do some platforming and get the cake. Then you have to go back into BB's Air Adventures by double-clicking. Did I even explain how to get Mangles? Mangles you have to do, I believe it's upright, down right, upright, down left, up left, down right. On the arcade in Cam 7. But anyways, BB's Air Adventure, you still have to do the same thing and double-click on the Balloon Boy poster and Cam 8, I believe? I'm not sure. I don't remember. I know there's 2 Balloon Boy posters. But this time, I mean, you still go through the left wall. You'll be given platforms, and you have to give the kid cake. Night 3, basically all you have to do is go and find the platforms where it starts going down, but jump into the wall. There should be a little opening, and then boom, just give the kid cake. Night 4, you have to input the code on the wall, which is basically just, it's pretty weird, but the code is a hex code for purple, and it's 39524 8, which brings you to Stage 01. Stage 01 actually took me pretty long to do, considering the first attempt I accidentally, went into the exit. And the second attempt was, hard getting to the crying kids room. I found the secret room where there was only 2, but I had trouble getting to the top to get to said different kid. It's all the way to the right on the top, I believe. Anyways, night 5, you have 2 mini games, and basically I had trouble getting the Shadow Bonnie one because I could not see it, and because I could not see it, I could not double click it even though I was. So the weird thing is that the FNAF games 1 through UCN were made in ClickTeam Fusion, and since I'm a developer in ClickTeam Fusion, I know almost all the quirks to ClickTeam Fusion. The thing is, how the double clicking works is that you must not move your mouse. You actually have to be on the specific pixel and click twice for it to be a double click in ClickTeam Fusion. Otherwise, if you move your mouse and click it twice, it's going to count as one singular click. So, yeah, it's just a weird quirk. And that's how it works for all of the posters. So you gotta... it's just angry. But Shadow Bonnie, you basically use the S key to teleport around. And I'd say go to about BB's Air Adventure and then use the same thing that we used for normal BB's Air Adventure and get out of the wall and then find the missing child. Then, after that, go into Happy Stay by going into Cam 3 and double-clicking the puppet poster, which ends the minigame hunt and gives you the good ending. By the way, this is the first FNAF game to have 2 endings, the good and the bad ending. And I know that FNAF 4 never has a good or bad ending, it just goes back to FNAF 1 and 2 where it's just one straight ending. Sister Location has 2 endings, but only one canonical ending. And UCN has multiple different endings, but then again, only one canonical ending. FNAF 3 could be taken either way, where FNAF 1, where FNAF 3's good ending happened. If it did happen, you can just say, oh, unhappiest day, and it didn't work. Or if it didn't happen, you can just say, oh, the good ending never happened, it was always the bad ending. So, yeah, either way, FNAF 3's good or bad ending could be canonical. Anyways, now we get on to the final section of the video. The theory part of the video. What is the theory? Well, it's something that's going to help shape certain keys and elements of the series. So, part of this series is basically that, FNAF 1, we were wondering what the MCI was, we were told what it was. FNAF 2, we had the DCI. FNAF 3, we were given the spring locking and the safe rooms were being sealed. So, my theory name of this new theory is called Moved Spring Bonnie Theory. And what this theory is basically that the MCI still happened. Okay, the MCI still happened, and it still happened the way that it did happen. And FNAF, and that the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was closed down and was opened for 2. However, get ready for this. They moved Spring Bonnie. So, Spring Bonnie didn't stay in the FNAF 1 location, like almost everyone's been saying. It went directly to the FNAF 2 location. Well, because my reasoning for this is that when Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was, rebranding and trying to go for the new location, they took the Withers with them to potentially reuse them instead of making the toys. So why not have brought Spring Bonnie and Fredbear with them to potentially reuse them? We don't know when the Springlock ban happened. We just know that it happened. Anyways, they bring them to FNAF 2. And why am I saying that they bring them to FNAF 2? Well, it's because of something that Phone Guy said in Night 6 of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. it basically says,
we had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right.
since Phone Guy said that someone used a spare in the back, a yellow one, that implies that it either had to be Fredbear or Spring Bonnie, which means they would both have been at that location. So, Spring Bonnie must have been used, because why would William use Fredbear? And Fredbear, if Fredbear's there, Spring Bonnie would have to be there. And some people think that, well, William's just the night guard during the game. Well, actually, he's not a night guard until before the game. He's a day guard when the time that this game takes place. In fact, he leaves the position at the end of Night 5, I believe. It's either Night 5 or Night 6. Because Phone Guy says the position just became available and they're thinking about changing Jeremy over to day shift. Anyways, so the DCI happened the same way as the MCI. Not as, like, you know, at night or different murders. It still happens before FNAF 2. Maybe it happened earlier, before, on day 1. Like, maybe it happened before night 1. Like, right before. Like the same day as night 1. But just during opening hours. Anyways, after the bite of 87 happens, they move the core animatronics, the core 4, back and out of the FNAF 2 locations, and they scrapped the toy animatronics, giving them their happiest day besides Mangle and the Puppet and Balloon Boy, considering that they reappear as the Phantoms. And they also moved Spring Bonnie and Fredbear. Now, we don't know where Fredbear is, considering that Fredbear never appears in any Freddy's location. The only representation of Fredbear that we've gotten was Golden Freddy, and we know that Golden Freddy hides in the parking service, but we know that Golden Freddy isn't a suit. He's a ghost, not a suit, because, well, I covered this in a FNAF 2 video in the last video, but the basic gist is that in FNAF 2, he's a head in the hallway, and that he slowly fades out with his second attacks. The way that Golden Freddy attacks are just ghostly, and in FNAF 1, he gets into your office, even if the doors are closed, so yeah, he's a ghost. So yeah, we haven't gotten any Fredbear representation in Five Nights at Freddy's at all until 3, where we see that he's a golden bear. And I mean, he was name dropped in FNAF 2, but we didn't get any representation for him until FNAF 4, and it was a Nightmare variant. So we don't know where Fredbear went, but we do know that Spring Bonnie came back to the FNAF 1 location. Maybe they just left Fredbear at the FNAF 2 location. We know that Spring Bonnie was brought back, and we know that that the restaurant was reopened, considering the newspapers that we got from FNAF 1. Anyways, after Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closes down for the last time, William Afton decides that he's going to go clear up some evidence. He breaks into Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and he destroys their parts one by one, circuit by circuit, disremembering them. He destroys them, lures them again, one by one. And when the core 4 are gone and dismembered on the floor, he thinks he's won. But he forgot that someone is lurking in the shadows. Someone that he did not expect. And when he least expected it, and when he thought that he would be safe, After that, the safe rooms are sealed until, well, the Fazbear Frights crew unleash him in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Maybe the Spring Bonnie moved, or the moved Spring Bonnie theory isn't the best, maybe. I mean, there's probably some evidence that is counter-arguing it. But hey, I think that the moved Spring Bonnie theory is a good and well-rounded theory, and explains some of the stuff that happens in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, 2, and 3, and some of the plot points. And for the other evidence that I have for it, I mean, just listen to the phone calls of Five Nights at Freddy's 3, and there's some more evidence, but I'm just a little too lazy to cover it in the main theory. But anyways, I think that's going to be it. I think out of everything, FNAF 3 is one of my favorites. It's just not my favorite. I mean, the design for Springtrap is so good. It is literally peak animatronic design. He does look bulky and he looks intimidating, but that jump scare did not do him justice at all. I mean, kind of the jump scares after FNAF 3 aren't really that good. I mean, you have FNAF 4, and then you have some potential with Sister Location, but when it comes to like Pizzeria Sim and UCN, yeah, I mean, they've already gotten enough criticism as it is. Anyways, oh, and with the Phantom jump scares, you can really just get desensitized to it with getting jump scared by the Phantoms. So, and for the night sections, I do feel like that they perfected them. In FNAF 3, they are 6 minutes long, and this is how they would stay for the remaining time sections. So, for like example, FNAF 4's nights are 6 minutes long, and then that's how they'd stay for a while, because FNAF 4 would be the last FNAF game with timed night sections until UCN, and I don't know how many minutes it takes for the night to be over in UCN, how much time it takes. I don't think that it's 6 minutes because, well, I've seen recordings of UCN where the timer was on 4:30 and they have beaten the night. Anyways, FNAF 3, good or bad? I think it's good. I think that one of the things that is holding it back is that it has this difficulty spike that it's easier on like the first 4 nights, and then it goes up a little bit night 5. So like first 5 nights are pretty good and they're pretty easy. Night 6 it does jump up a little bit, and I feel like that it shouldn't have jumped up at night 6, but rather night 3. See, this is the problem with having one animatronic, is that bumping up the difficulty and having a smooth difficulty curve is kind of hard to do with one animatronic. Anyways, for night 6 Aggressive Nightmare, in my opinion, I feel like it's way too hard. Like, come on, FNAF 1, what is it? FNAF 1's 420 mode is easy once you get the grip on it. And Golden Freddy mode is not always 100% beatable. Even with the best strat, you'll probably beat it within like the first 6 times. And even after that, you'll still probably die. And, however, I've heard that there is a strat that will guarantee you beating it 100% of the time. I have not tried this strat, but the strat I would probably have to get used to beat it, considering that it goes against keeping them in Cam 9 and 10. Anyways, yeah. I think music-wise, gameplay-wise, pretty solid. I mean, it does get a little bit boring. Night 1 kind of hurts the replayability of this game, but it's pretty good. Besides the jump scares, pretty good. And I think that the extras menu, which by the way, FNAF 3 introduced the extras menu, so FNAF 1 and 2 don't have one. I think that if Scott ever did a reimagining, he should add Phantom Bonnie and also add an extras menu. But anyways, this is the end of the video. And like I said earlier, that FNAF 3 got a tie in the poll, so expect a Sonic 3 video like this month. like not any farther, but don't expect it to be like tomorrow. It's probably gonna be on like the 23rd or something like that. And the next game on the poll is going to be, well, I actually don't know. I know that it's going to be FNAF 4 against something, because the main reason I say that is because I do not have Sonic Superstars yet, and I'm going to be doing a Sonic Mania and Sonic Superstars video when I cover Sonic Mania and Sonic Superstars, but I don't currently have Superstars on my computer. I do have it on Switch, but I just saw that it went on sale, so maybe I get Superstars, maybe I don't. Maybe I just wait for the next time I get paid and get Superstars. I mean, I also want Crossworlds. I want a couple of games. So, we'll do, Five Nights at Freddy's 4 versus something. I don't know. I'll eventually either have, Superstars, or I'll figure out a game that can go against Five Nights at Freddy's 4. And if I don't, by like next month, then we'll just do another FNAF video, like, again. Anyways, thank you for watching. Have a good day or good night. It's probably night when you're watching this, because it's night when I uploaded this. And if you're watching this during the day, I wished you watched during the night, but thank you for the views anyways. But, thank you for watching, and remember, never stay past. Never stay awake past 4 a.m.